So let's jump in here, friends, as we are ready to rock and roll. Kowalski versus Burkhart. Take a look at this opening hand. Ooh, turn one Llanowar. You always love to see that, don't you?
Yeah, gotta love that from this deck, as well as Karn searching up a bunch of cool tools. Very interesting deck here from the most handsome and skilled Corey B in Magic, that's for sure.
Oh, goodness me. Anyway, as we get things going here, Llanowar Elves down on the battlefield. It's going to be met in kind here by Gregor Kowalski, but playing a very different deck in this Jund Citadel list with Collected Company.
Yeah, so the one thing that's really interesting about Kowalski's list is he's basically just playing every kind of mana accelerant into Bolas's Citadel or Collected Company. So that is really all he's trying to do, is just turbo out Bolas's Citadel and just say, hey, all these other decks that are trying to do this as well, I'm going to do it faster.
Yep. As we see the Fiend Artisan now down on the battlefield is able to sacrifice one of these little critters, most likely the Stitcher Supplier, as it does mill 3 cards. Corey wants to fill up that graveyard as quick as he can, get a massive Fiend Artisan, and just start swinging away. But
yeah,
Gregor's going to make it a little difficult for him, but would like to find some of those key cards in Priest of Forgotten Gods and the Mayhem Devil, as we see Goose committed to the battlefield.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's very interesting with Corey Burkhart. He has a bunch of one-ofs in his deck as essentially like a toolbox.
Yep.
Bounty Agent, Brain Maggots, Scavenging Ooze, Luris, etc. Just to be able to get something that's really powerful in any scenario of the game, as well as Karn, the Great Creator, to go get even more powerful things. So Corey really has all the tools to win games. It's just, can he do it in time?
Yep, and Kowalski doesn't really have any ways to deal with the Planeswalkers, so as good as Priest of Forgotten Gods is against creatures, getting stuff out of the way, that Karn can just go and fetch a cage and shut you down entirely.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. I mean, he can Mayhem Devil Karn, Mayhem Devil the Loyalty down, but his deck doesn't actually attack very well. It's a lot of 1-power creatures, and frankly, a lot of 0-power creatures with Gilded Goose and...
Blood Artist.
Yeah, Gilded Goose and Blood Artist, thank you.
So now, Karn, the Great Creator, what are you going to do there, friend? We are going plussing. Hum num num. I wonder if it was delicious. That
play always feels so mean. Whenever Karn gets kind of that free spell just to eat from your opponent's sides, whether it be, Mox Ambers or just food tokens.
All right, so both players just deciding what it is they want to do next. Collected Company in hand there for Kowalski, hoping to find something good off the top of the library there. Would love to get Mayhem Devil out with this. Let's see what he can find.
Oh yeah, Mayhem Devil would be huge here. Sacrificing Priest, getting... Ooh.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not bad, not bad. Kowalski definitely wanted some way to deal with Karn the Great Creator this turn, because what you alluded to, going to just get a cage, is really rough for the Jund Citadel deck game 1. We got our Collected Company out so we can get some value, but yeah, it just really shuts down his whole deck.
Oh, wow. You know what else shuts down decks? Hello, Massacre Worm. Would you like to see some death and destruction, dear friends? Because at this point... almost everything is going to... Actually, everything is going to die, but we're just 1 mana short of that.
Oh, man, that is going to be so huge if that hits the battlefield. That is another one of those fun-ofs, the one-ofs here, to get off Fiend Artisan and obviously return with God's Pharaoh's Gift. That is the insanely powerful combo of this deck. And if you have not seen it, buckle up. It is an impressive feat.
Well, I mean, yeah, there would just be... Well, okay, they can, in response, if, say, we had Massacre Worm coming down right now, but we don't. We have Karn the Great Creator, who has realized that, hey, maybe Collected Company is a good thing to stop. Let's go get a Grafdigger's Cage and get this down. Or do we go for something else, perhaps? What's going through Corey's mind here, Corey?
I think you get the cage. I mean, just having access to open deck lists here, Corey Burkhart knows that there is really nothing that Kowalski can do to get that cage off the battlefield for game 1, because it is not the most common thing to see a cage game 1. Karn the Great Creator decks are really the only way you can do it. Or if somebody's really feeling frisky and putting these cards in their main deck, but that does not happen often.
You're going to see Fiend Artisan munching on Stitcher's Supplier. Oh, just figure out how we want to tap there. Are we going to sacrifice the Llanowar Elf? Nope, it is going to be Stitcher's Supplier. Let's mill 3. Blood Artist. Going to be pinging. Because don't forget, Blood Artist doesn't care just about your battlefield. It's everything on the battlefield. So if things are dying, Blood Artist is going to know about it.
Exactly. And those incidental damages there just really add up pretty quickly.
Yeah. Pair that with the Mayhem Devil and the Cat Oven combo. You're in for a bad time if that gets going. Oh, boy.
And speaking of, that is really what I was just going to say. That is exactly what Kowalski wants to draw. And there it is right off the top. Impressive.
Ooh. All right, Mayhem Devil. Next turn is going to be a heck of a lot of fun as we now finally see the Grafdigger's Cage entering the battlefield, but not really making much of an impact right now. There's no Cat Oven. There's no Collector Company. As I say that, it is drawn off the top of the library there for Kowalski, but he's going to be happy to have found that Mayhem Devil.
Yep, right now Kowalski really has to shift gears and understand my collected companies, my Bolas's, Citadels, escaping Woe Striders, all these very powerful things that this deck is normally supposed to do are off the table. Now it has to be plan B, and that's win by, claiming the firstborn, your opponent's creatures, sacking a bunch of stuff and getting Mayhem Devil triggers, and just a little bit of the unconventional side of the deck instead of just what your main game one plan is to do, and that's Collected Company and Bolas's Citadel.
Speaking of triggers, I think we're going to see a bunch here as Priest of Forgotten Gods is going to force a sacrifice. Blood Artist is going to trigger. Mayhem Devil is going to trigger. Is Corey Burkhart just dead?
This might just be absolutely lethal because you can clear out the blocker thanks to that Mayhem Devil, so you get to add 3 damage with that Woe Strider, and yeah, this is
this is brutal. Good game, says Corey Burkhart as we swing in here. Woe Strider gets the 3 points of damage, is going to munch on something else here. It doesn't matter what at this point, but that is a very, very convincing victory there for Grzegorz Kowalski.
God, that is just so impressive to win game 1 through Grafdigger's Cage with a deck that is very reliant on flipping cards off the top of your library to put them into play. So impressive work by Kowalski there.
Yes, indeed. This Absent Coco list, this is the only one. GPG Coco. Yes. Coco being Collected Company, GPG being Godfarer's Gift. This is the only deck of its kind in the tournament. So Corey really taking a risk here and trying to utilize some of the sacrifice elements that we've seen, playing with graveyards, trying to get as much into the bin as possible with Godfarer, or for Godfarer's Gift to bring back. What do you think this deck was aiming to beat? Like, its best matchup, is that going to be Goblins, or what would that be?
God, I would think Goblins. I think even Jund Sacrifice decks have got to be pretty good just because you get access to these very powerful artifacts, game 1 and, post-board as well. So I would think Jund Sacrifice, and if you're bringing a deck to the table, you got to have a pretty good plan against Goblins here, because you have to expect that it's going to be the most played deck. So I would assume creature decks is what you take down. You probably do not want to play against, for instance, Andrew Cunio's Azorius Control deck.
I don't know too many people who are excited to play against Azorius Control decks. I know you love them personally.
Yeah, I love them personally, but even I would have not registered Azorius Control for this tournament. Don't think it's as powerful as some of the other decks with Collected Companies or Muxus or something like that. These really over-the-top effects.
Yeah, just being able to cheat extra cards into play has just been like such a powerful thing in Magic at the moment. So, we see players. I think Matt Nass is even playing. You're playing an aggressive deck. I think he's actually on Godfarer's Gift. Opting against the normal things that they play, like Reed Duke, also not playing mid-range games, just being like, oh hey, I'm gonna play Mono Red Goblins because everyone kind of knows that is the deck to beat this weekend. So if you can't beat him, join him.
Exactly. And I mean, Reed Duke is a player who loves to play these green-black X decks, but will not shy away from playing the best deck if it is. And I mean, I've seen him play Mono Blue Tempo at Mythic Championship 1, and he is not afraid to play what he thinks is the best. And that's a pretty clear sign to me that Goblins is that deck for this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see how these two players do against those Goblins. But for now, we still have to determine who the winner between Kowalski and Burkhart is going to be as both players take a look at their opening hands. Kowalski happy with 3 little mana dorks, a Scavenging Ooze munching on some graveyards, and Klothys, God of Destiny as well. Wow. Only 1 land though, so that is a brave keep as we take a look here at Corey Burkhart's hand.
Yeah, Corey Burkhart's hand is not great, and that's kind of the problems here. You see a Plague Mare in the opening hand. It's going to be great if it hits a bunch of creatures, but not the card you want in your opening hand. It's one of those tutor targets for Fiend Artisan.
Yeah, for sure. So getting things going here, Overgrown Tomb, Shocked In, Fiend Artisan down on the battlefield. Nothing to munch yet, unfortunately. No fun stuff in the graveyard, no Stitcher Supply or anything of the sort to fill up that bin for him just yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. God, that Klothys is going to be very strong in this matchup.
Yeah, we can Klothys right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We can Klothys right now, and that card does work, let me tell you. You just sit there single turn, like munching on cards in your graveyard. Doesn't care what it is. So long as it's not a land, it's doing 2 damage to you and gaining 2 life.
Exactly. Yeah, right now it doesn't really have too much food to eat, but that's not a super big deal. You can abrade something, and then all of a sudden you have 2 activations from the powerful God of Destiny.
Opts not to go that route just yet, though, as Scavenging Ooze and Gilded Goose come down. That almost rhymed, as Godfarer's Gift drawn at the top of the library there from Corey Burkhart. Again, not the card you want to see off the top of your library, so things are not looking great here for Corey at the moment.
Not great. What Corey Burkhart was really hoping that Kowalski was going to do is just keep playing more Llanowar Elves so that you can get a lot more value. But the Gilded Goose having 2 toughness and then obviously Scavenging Goose as well is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever encountered a goose, Corey? They are terrifying.
They are.
Yes. And resilient. They don't give up.
I tried to go to an AT&T store and a goose flocked me away at the front. I am not making that up. It was pretty interesting.
Well, we're going to have a whole gaggle of geese here pretty soon as Kowalski still has 2 more in hand. Perhaps, 1 more than we'd like. But still, nevertheless, is firmly in control right now as Scavenging Ooze is going on into the red zone. Can sacrifice the Llanowar Elf in the graveyard if it needs to get that buff.
Exactly. Yeah, what Kowalski was really hoping for right now, that Cage isn't on the other side of the battlefield, and that's Collected Company. That would have been great this turn. And we're getting very close to the Bolas's Citadel finish, thanks to that Phyrexian Tower, which I got to point out that land for this tournament. That is one of the most powerful cards in this format right now that got added to Historic. I mean, I think Muxus, Uro, Phyrexian Tower are just the top 3 most powerful cards in this format, and we see a lot of people playing that powerful land.
We do indeed, as we see the Abrade take care of the Fiend Artisan. Scavenging Ooze going munching on it straight away. Being rude, munching on other people's graveyards. How dare they? And a land off the top of the library for Corey. Things are not looking good here for Mr. Burkhart.
Not great. We're up to 5 lands right now with Phyrexian Tower, and the cute thing with Phyrexian Tower and God's Pharaoh's Gift, you can sacrifice a creature and kind of hope that Kowalski doesn't have a green available, and then bring that creature back right away when we can get to 7 mana for that God's Pharaoh's Gift.
Soon, so that's what Corey is working towards right now, unless we find something else off the top of the library, and there is Collected Company for Kowalski. That is going to be big, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
That is exactly what he wanted to see here. That was a nice pickup.
Llanowar Elf on the other side? Not exactly what Corey was hoping to find. But nevertheless, it's a thing on the battlefield. We can put it in the way, and we can get another land out. God Pharaoh's Gift coming up next turn.
Exactly. It does ensure the God Pharaoh's Gift next turn, so it's not the absolute worst. But yeah, not great in the face of that Scavenging Ooze. We really need to get that off the battlefield if you're a Corey B fan.
Collected Company, what do we find? Mayhem Devil at the top. Only 1, unfortunately. But you know what? That's still a big thing to have down on the battlefield. Just got to get some sacrifice outlets going. Hey, Klothys, you want to come hang out? Maybe a goose can chow on some food?
It's definitely better than just one Gilded Goose or something, but that is not the
Yeah.
start you want for your collected company spins of match 1 of the Mythic Invitational.
No, I would have loved to have found a sack outlet like Woe Rider or Priest of Forgotten God, something like that. But nevertheless, we're still going to get chomping. We're going to get some mana produced from this food token, get this other goose down, and start pinging off these creatures for the ooze to eat, even.
Okay, we do have 2 green here. Okay, playing the Clothis, leaving open 1 green at least for a God's Pharaoh's Gift potentially. So very smart heads up play there by Kowalski, not leaving himself too open. I guess I can't say that for sure yet. He could still play the Gilded Goose, but I imagine he's going to hold that green up just in case a gift comes down.
I think he sees that Phyrexian Tower, and he's like, yeah, 7 mana, that's a God Pharaoh's Gift. I don't feel like dealing with that, so let's see what we can do. Stitcher Supplier off the top of the library, Overgrown Tomb. Would have to be shocked in to get God Pharaoh's Gift down. Going down to 4, that is not a great situation to be in, considering Clothis is going to start pinging away at things too.
Exactly, and the fact that once you sacrifice your Plague Mare, the Scavenging Goose can clean it up right away or clean up whatever target. Yeah, there's just no way out at that point.
Unfortunately not for Corey, as he sees the writing on the wall, and Jund, sacrifice in the hands of Gregor Kowalski, picks up the victory there. A clean 2-0 against Abzan, God Pharaoh's Gift. So, yeah,